Working on a Simplex steam locomotive, part 19, completing the fire hole mounting and working on the smoke box. This episode is a bit labour intensive but very useful, I hope. The two smoke box rings need to be accurately fixed in place using plenty of small rivets, and it is important that they all line up correctly. There are some really useful tips in this episode. I'm having a close look at the fit between the smoke box and the saddle. In case you're wondering why my scriber is stuck up in the air, no, it's not to poke me in the eye. I'm just using it to help my eye make sure that the smoke box is in the right place. The radius of this saddle does not match the smoke box, so I'm going to have to modify this. I intend to fill this casting with something like JB Weld and then rub it down so it looks really good before I even think about painting it. This job can ruin a model locomotive. If I get it wrong and the chimney is not vertical, then I have a problem. The engine will never look right. I'll cover the fitting of the smoke box in another episode. For the moment, it's back to making the fire hole door assembly. I'm currently trying to show some of the jobs that I do using an absolute minimum of machine tools. Okay, one or two of the parts I do need to use the machine tools for, but it's very important to hone your skills at handwork. Here I have a bit of a problem. A moment ago I showed how the hinge is in the wrong position, so I need to make a new hinge. I'm applying some marking out blue to this small piece of brass, and here I'm holding it in position so I can put the scriber through the hinge to make the mark for the hole. Over now to the bandsaw, and of course this is a machine tool. I could have used a hacksaw though, I suppose. I'm cutting out the shape of the hinge. This original part was a silver soldered fabrication. Once I'd cut the shape from the piece of brass for the hinge mount, I applied some marking out blue, scribed a line to the approximate shape, and trimmed it roughly to shape using the 1-inch belt sander. The finished shape was created with a needle file. Once I'd shaped the hinge support, I drilled a couple of holes in it for these very small 10BA bolts. And now, with the help of some marking out blue and a scriber, I'm going to transfer the positions of these holes onto the main part. And the aim of this is to mark them correctly so I don't have to file the holes oval. So I also scribed a ruled line to help me find the dots. Then I drilled the holes in the main part and the hinge bracket fitted perfectly. I'm just using a nut spinner to tighten the nuts onto these small bolts. It's no good using a Barco spanner in this application. Once both the nuts were fitted, I cut off the excess thread using a pair of side cutters, or front cutters, whatever they're called. After this, using a needle file, I cleaned up the ends of the bolts. The hole that I originally drilled through the brass part was 3/32 of an inch, but I drilled it out a bit larger to match the two holes in the straps. Now it's time to make the latch that keeps the fire hole door shut. This is a smaller piece of brass, and once again using the bandsaw I cut it to the rough shape that I needed it to be. This is a new bandsaw blade, so it's cutting quite well. I should really have the blade guide a lot lower than it is, but for the purpose of the video I've lifted it up. Things like this are good practice. I could just put this in the milling machine. I could have made everything that you've just seen me make very quickly using a milling machine. But what if you don't have one? What if your milling machine's broken? I'm simply trying to show some alternatives to machining. And when you see the finished product, you can judge for yourself as to whether it's good enough. I've drilled two holes in the main part, and these are clearance size to take 8BA bolts. Once I held the latch in place over the holes, I used a scriber to mark the position of the holes. Then I drilled the latch tapping size for 8BA bolts. Why didn't I use 10BA? Well, for me 10BA is just a little bit too small. I usually break the taps, but 8BA is okay. I used 10BA bolts for the hinge bracket because the tops of them are visible. But these two 8BA bolts are not visible, so there can be two screws very close together. Then I ran into a bit of a snag. Once I fitted the completed part, I could not rotate the check valves back to their normal position. So I had to do a bit of careful reshaping of the part using my 1-inch belt sander, followed by polishing it up on the polishing spindle. I think I will also reduce the thickness of the top caps on the check valves. To keep the fire hole door in position, I've been using the twist drill that I drilled the hole with. Now I need to make a stainless steel pin to fit through the entire hinge. This is a very small part. It started off as a piece of 3/16 of an inch in diameter stainless steel. I centre drilled the end and pulled it out. Fitted a live centre in the tailstock to allow me to turn the part. As you can see in this highly magnified image, as I'm turning, the metal is moving around quite a lot. This is the way of things. I'm actually running the lathe far too slowly, and it's often a good idea to use a fixed steady for when you're turning long shafts in the lathe. This after all is just a hinge pin, so it's not exactly a high tolerance part. Once I'd finished the diameter of the main shaft, I turned it round in the chuck and cleaned across the front of the head. And as always, the final job was to just touch the edge with a file, because as we all know, a 90-degree cut across a piece of metal is razor sharp. Here's the finished part. It's not painted yet and it looks a bit scabby, but it will be okay. In this clip, I'm removing the smoke box from where it's been for quite a while. The very first thing I'm going to do is just draw an arrow to show me which way is the front. This is followed by some controlled ultraviolence with the handle of a hammer. Here I'm dislodging the front ring, closely followed by doing exactly the same to remove the rear ring, which is actually a bit of a tighter fit. More about this later on. In an attempt to make sure the rivets are more or less in line, I'm using a set square to draw a line across the top of the smoke box. The mounting holes for the blast pipe are not in line. This is because I drilled the holes to align with the existing blast pipe. For the next part of the job, I need to stick a piece of masking tape to a long piece of brass, or steel, or plastic, or whatever you've got. I used brass because I bought some of the wrong thickness for my traction engine side plates, but it's going to be fine for this job. After I stuck the masking tape to the long piece of brass, it was a simple job to hold the ruler in position and make a spot with the felt tip pen every ½ inch. Why ½ inch? Does it say that on the drawing? I've really no idea. The rivet spacings are going to look about right at ½ inch. The rivets I'm going to use for this job are 3/32 of an inch rivets. But shock horror, I haven't got any. I'll buy some from Blackgates Engineering next week. This job is fairly self-explanatory. Once I'd marked all the way across the masking tape, using once again the set square to make sure the lines were straight, I removed the piece of masking tape from the long brass strip and stuck it around the edge of the smoke box. Being very careful to make sure that the masking tape aligns perfectly with the edge of the smoke box. This is the front that I'm currently doing, and I was quite pleased to see that all the lines actually did line up. In this clip, when I'm cutting the masking tape, you can see that the distance between the first mark on the masking tape and the last one is ½ inch. I'd love to say this is because of the quality of my marking out, but obviously that's not so. If I was a proper engineer, I wouldn't do it this way. This is designed for beginners, plus it's the way I do it. I need to drill these holes in the right place and allow for the flange on the ring. So first of all, I mark the width of the ring, and then I mark slightly inboard of that, but not too far forward because the thick flange would get in the way of the rivet. To start with, I'm using a centre drill to accurately drill the holes around the perimeter, but I'm not happy with the way it's working out. This smoke box was rolled from a piece of sheet metal and it's not accurate, it's not fully round. The simplest solution is to place my felt tip pen on top of a ruler and rotate the smoke box in front of a felt tip pen held on the ruler. Why the ruler? Well, the bench plus the ruler gives me exactly the distance I need the holes to be drilled from the front of the smoke box. I drill in the centre of the cross marks using a centre drill, as this allowed for certain adjustments that I needed as I went round and did it. This clip shows the final part of drilling the holes using a twist drill. And once I'd done that, I could remove the masking tape. And as I remove the masking tape, it occurs to me that I could reuse this masking tape on the other side, but I decided against that. Now it's time for the big cleanup. I need to deburr every hole on the outside as well as on the inside. It's quite easy on the outside using some emery cloth, but the burrs on the inside are much bigger. For deburring the holes on the inside of the smoke box, I use my Proxxon motor tool angle grinder. As usual, it's fitted with quite a coarse flapper wheel, and it makes very short work of deburring the holes on the inside. Yes, I think that looks okay. In this clip, I'm sanding the outside of the smoke box using a piece of emery cloth. This is to key it for the paint. It's not ready for paint, but it will be soon. And now it's top tip time. It may be something you'd never think of. Both the chimney and the saddle are not a perfect fit on this smoke box. Oh dear, what am I going to do? Well, the answer's simple. Hold a piece of sandpaper on the smoke box and rub the chimney up and down on it. I can't take credit for this top tip. I read it many years ago in an LBSC article in the Model Engineer. I'm repeating the process, but this time on the smokebox saddle. It's really important that the saddle fits accurately to the smokebox, because otherwise, if you bolt it all together, as you tighten the bolts, this could distort the shape of the smokebox, and I really don't want to do that. Besides, it's not much trouble doing what I've just done. It's very simple. Here I'm making the template for the rear of the smokebox. I'm not going to dwell on this. I've edited the video. It's exactly in every way the same process that I've just shown. Marks at 1/2 inch intervals around the perimeter. Rotate the smokebox on the bench as previously shown, with the felt tip pen sat on top of a ruler for the correct distance. Then, as before, over to the drilling machine, use a centre drill first, followed by a twist drill. And as I'm going to use 3/32 of an inch diameter rivets, the holes are all 3/32 of an inch in diameter. I find this very laborious and very boring, but such is life. Then, just as before, I deburr the inside using the Proxxon angle grinder and the outside using some coarse emery cloth. Cleaning up and scratching the outside is important, because very soon I will not be able to get between the rivets, but for the moment it's quite easy. In this clip I'm tapping the rear smokebox ring into position, but this time I'm tapping it further in. Originally, when it was sticking out too far, it was a very tight fit in the boiler and a bit of a pain to release. By doing it this way, I just need to put a bead of sealant in the gap between the smokebox itself and the inner ring, and this will seal the smokebox perfectly. I could even use an O-ring. Here I'm fitting the front ring. You have to be careful at this stage. This front ring must be in precisely the correct position. If the position of the hinge fittings is not correct, it will look really bad when it's finished. The next job, of course, is to drill through the existing holes into the rings and rivet them in position. But I'm really concerned about this front ring, so I'm looking at it from many different positions. I think this is okay. I don't know where the saddle's going to fit on this smokebox until the boiler's in position. And that's it for this episode. Stay healthy, thanks for watching, and as I always say, I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.